What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday to everyone, whether you're here live or watching this on Rewind. You are in for another great Live with the Kranky Canadian with Mr. No Good Comics himself.
I'm Streetside Anthony, and you're watching the Kranky Canadian.
All right, shout out to my man Streetside Anthony helping me out with my intro. And without further ado, man, No Good Comics. Justin, say hello to the people, man.
What's going on, everybody? It's a happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good kickoff to the week. I know Mondays are frowned upon sometimes, but hope everybody's doing good. Roger, man, thank you so much for having me on. I've been really excited to be on here.
Yeah, hey, thanks for saying yes. You know, there's always that fear when you ask someone to come on your show where they say, yeah, no, I got better things to
do. No way, man.
So we got 13 people watching. I'm going to give some shout-outs to the people. So Johnny Rosado, big night for him. He's got his 8:30 tonight. He's got his kickoff for his show. I Dream of August Comics, him and Jay Ramirez, and they're doing like a kickoff party at 8:30. So if you're kicking around wondering what the hell you're going to do, man, tune into that. Two great guys right there. I had the pleasure of being on their show a couple weeks ago with the Butcher. So I'm definitely catching that, and I may pop in for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Mr. Otto, 1/3 of 3 Men in the Basement in the house. Sith Lordley, Mr. Spine Tech, still doing his live show from Saturday night right now. In case you were wondering, he's going for the 4-day long stream. Lady Sith, I don't know how she puts up with it, or she just goes to bed, or she actually heckles him from the background. That's what I'd be doing. You get to that long, he's getting tired, like pop in the room and start throwing shit at him, you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We got Uncanny Swag in the house. Excuse me. Wesley's Comics, 1/3 the Power Pack. We got, who else is in here? We got Sparks Comics. What up, Sparks?
Yo.
We got more Sparks, lots of Sparks. Streetside Anthony in the house, right there, man. Just like as speak of the man himself, Michael P in the house. We have Michael P again. Uncle Frank. I'm glad you finally changed your name from Efron. Not that you have a bad name, buddy, but now everybody knows who you are. You can't miss Uncle Frank in the chat for sure. Michael Benston. Flash by Night, Newbie Comics in the house, Dave in the Cave, the other second third of 3 Men in the Basement, Jason W, Glenn 2K, Flash by Night, Uni X. I think I got everybody. If I didn't say you got your name, guys, I'm sorry. I think flipped up. Paul PC 1974, got that. Keep it up in the chat, and we'll highlight you if you have questions for either me or Justin. Make sure you just type it in there, guys. We'll try to get to all the questions if you have any. And other than that, you know how we roll. Like to have a good time and learn a little bit about our guest here. So, Justin, right off the bat, let's tell people where you're from, what your name. Tell us a little about yourself. Other than, don't get too deep because I do have questions to ask.
So my name is Justin. No Good Comics is where you can find me on most of the major social media platforms. I basically live on Instagram, but slowly jumping into the YouTube community more and more, putting that kind of first with content and stuff like that. But so you can definitely find me there as well. I'm based here in New Jersey, right outside of New York, and just I don't know, been collecting for about 3 years on a serious level. I'm trying to think what other details. I don't want to go too in depth yet.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got questions. You can't be taking the steam out of my questions. It pops in me sharing that on the backstage and private messages. My boy been sharing some music with me. I've been digging most of it. So far. I'm one of those get off my lawn kind of guys when it comes to my old school hip hop music and. The computer synthesized, generated, auto-tune crap that plays now. But there are some stuff that still sounds old school, and he's been turning me on to some of it. So I appreciate you, man.
Nice.
Dave in the Cave. Fellow New Jersey guys. See, we just found that out.
Yeah.
I'm from Jersey. What exit? If anybody remembers that old Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah. There's Johnny.
Yeah. T. Ravis in the house. All right. So, I mean, the first time I interacted with you was on Instagram. So you started Instagram back in August of 2018. What made you jump into? Because I think the greatest thing about your first post ever was a disclaimer that you put on there that you're like, I don't collect comics, but I really want to get into it. So, I'm just going to post stuff on here and learn as I go kind of thing. So, like, what made you do that? And, like, is that your first Instagram page? And, like, where did your name come from? Like, give us the history of that.
Yeah, so I was always on Instagram just as my personal page, use that for family and friends and things like that. And my old boss, he got me into collecting comics. He was actually leaving the job that we were working together at, and he ended up he was like, hey, let's go out to lunch one last time. We'll go hit up a pizza place. And when we went there, there was a comic shop nearby. I haven't really been in one in years. And so he's like, let's just go check it out. Like, I've always liked, superheroes, and I've always liked the movies and everything else that's been out, but I just never really got into comics. So when he invited me over, or, after we had pizza or whatever, we go check out this comic shop, and he buys a bunch of books, and, we're getting ready to leave, and he looks at me. He's like, dude, what are you doing, man? I was like, oh, well, I'm just looking around. I was waiting for you. You're going to pay, and then we're going to leave. He's like, no. You can't go into a comic shop and not buy anything. And I'm like, oh, he's like, come on. I saw you looking at the books. Like, grab a couple of books. Help out the local shop here. I was like, all right. Yeah. All right. So I remember I grabbed, it was Jerry Duggan's Infinity Wars issue #1 that just came out. And I remember because the films were out and the film was called Infinity War. So I was like, okay, like maybe this ties into the films or something. So I remember buying that book. And then I went home and read it, and I didn't really click that these books are like kind of like mini episodes of TV shows. And when I saw what happened at the end of this issue, and Thanos getting his head chopped off, and then it just leaves you hanging, I'm like, wait, so what happens? And it just says, find out next month. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? I was like, so when I'm talking to my boss about it, I'm like, dude, like, I'm going to go back. I got to go check out more. And so I was like, after that, I was hooked. I ended up going in, talking to the owner, talking to, just other people in the comic shop. They gave me some recommendations and things, asking me what I like. So I just started buying stuff. And then that's what made me think about Instagram. I'm a person who I go all in when I get into something, all in. So I was like really hyped in getting into comics. I'm like, all right, maybe I can like start showing these books off. The artwork looked really cool. That's what really got me. Maybe I could talk about what I read. So I just made an Instagram account, and No Good Comics. I picked the word No Good Comics because I was in like the music industry a long time ago, and even when I was in like high school, I wanted to like have my own label. That was a plan of mine, and I had a label name, and it was called No Skill Records. And it was spelled KNOW. And of course, I'm in high school. I thought it was the shit. And I'm sorry, excuse my French. So, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So I always had this like kind of like catchiness of, the play on words type thing. So I went with No Good Comics. I didn't know where this was going to go. I had no idea about the community. I just started sharing stuff. And I started noticing like the same people liking my stuff and commenting. And I started posting like 3 times a day. I was posting a lot and just, sharing what I was reading and what I was collecting. And, little by little, I just started making friends and seeing the same faces. And they were messaging me. We'd start talking about other comics. They'd start telling me about other books to check out. And it just kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah, nice. It's a good community, isn't it?
Definitely.
Be able to easily share, common interests like that.
Big time.
Man, you already got like 4,000 subscribers, followers on Instagram. Like, what's the trick, bro? Like, seriously, I've been sharing comics since 2012, and I got like 1,200, and I've been stuck there for years. Like, what do you do, man? Like, you pay for one of those ads? Like, what's the trick? Well, maybe I should copy your hashtags. Maybe that's.
Hey, that's a part of it for sure. It's definitely a part of it. I don't know. Just started getting into things. I will say I do social media and marketing for a living. So I do know some strategies and things like that I've somewhat applied to what I do,
Share some of them strategies, bro. Yourself.
It's no real secrets. I just try to take some cool angles and cool pictures. I do think the hashtags definitely work. But I think the biggest thing is just showing up. I think on a regular basis, posting things. I was posting like 3 times a day. I think maybe it's probably overkill nowadays, but in the beginning I was definitely posting a lot. Now I just show up at least once a day, doing maybe 2 times a day. And I comment on everything. I comment back to everybody. I try to talk to everybody I can. I answer all the DMs that I can. I just try to engage with everybody as much as possible.
All right. No, duly noted.
Write that down, Roger. You writing it down?
I don't know if I can post 3 times a day, man. I don't know if I can go on social media 3 times a day, but we'll have to talk about the hashtag thing. You tell me what I'm doing wrong, all right?
For sure.
All right. So May of last year, you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a YouTube channel. How did that come about? Like, why did you decide, like, was it people pushing you, or are you just like, you know what, I want to do more than just Instagram? Like, what drove you to start your YouTube channel?
I've always been a camera person. I've always been somebody who's likes to talk to people and likes to talk in general. And I was starting to do that on Instagram and do these little videos and things like that. But then I just started kind of weighing the pros and cons. And again, this partially has to do with just because I do this stuff for work and, recognizing, obviously YouTube being a search engine and much more of a powerful platform. And not to mention just all the incredible people that I've already started following just on YouTube. I made a YouTube name just to go on and, follow people on YouTube and get to watch their videos. But I didn't really think about doing my own stuff until I started to think about like doing a show. And so I wanted to do this Comic Collector Origins show that I've been doing now like every Saturday for a good amount of time. I mean, yeah, probably close to the summertime of last year when I kicked it off. But that was one of the reasons was I was weighing pros and cons, and I'm like, all right, well, I know it's a lot of effort. I know it can take a lot of time. I want to make sure I'm having fun with this. I want to make sure that it doesn't feel like work to me. So, I always kind of gauge that stuff and audit myself now and again, just to make sure like, all right, am I enjoying this? Is this worth my time because it's fun and not just because it's an obligation? Yeah. And so, a lot of that played into it, but, putting the show together, I've seen a lot of people like yourselves and so many others who are, just do different shows and hangouts and things like that. So I just thought that I would give YouTube a shot, and worst came to worse, no one would watch it, and that was it.
Yeah, right. No harm, no foul, right?
Right. I could always go back to, Instagram or whatever. But, the search engine and things like that has always been something I've considered, and just wanting to, discover new people, be discovered by new people, and kind of grow organically and get to know people in that way.
Sure. And you got all sorts of different types of show that you do with the mail calls, unboxings, the comic reviews. I saw a couple Omni reviews in there. Then you have, like you mentioned, this Comic Collector's Origin, which I think is cool. It's similar to what I'm doing here, but you have a different angle on it. But I did notice you've never had Kranky Canadian on your show. I'm trying to
what, the email? The email is in my junk?
I'm trying to figure out. So 5 months ago, you started a show that's has the same concept as mine. You didn't think I'm gonna have Kranky on.
No, man, you are definitely on the list.
So when you're making videos, what do you prefer? Do you like live shows better, or do you enjoy filming stuff, editing it, and kind of putting that produced product out on your channel?
Overall, I like the live stuff. I like just doing it on the fly. I like the engagement of the chat, engagement of the guest or whoever is hanging out with me. It's just, I don't know. I feel like you get a sense of realness where, there's no do-overs and you just be you, and your guests just be themselves, and you have fun and, put yourself out there. I've always liked that. And like I said before, I feel comfortable in that kind of way, just being in front of people and talking. So, yeah, definitely prefer that over. Plus, you don't have to edit, which I love.
At the time, I mean, that's pretty much why I started this show. The most fun I had on the show is our live shows. And you can't go live all the time, and you have other shows that you contend with, and you kind of grade the schedule. And
sure,
and you had Everett and Dave are putting out content all the time. I'm like, I got to contribute somehow, and I really enjoy the live shows. I'm the same way. I like to interact with people. I like to play off the interactions of people, the chat, and that sort of thing. So that's how I kind of rolled into this segment of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've had No Good Comics on, so someday I'll be on comic collector's origins.
Dude, you will definitely be on this year. You will definitely be on. We will make it happen, my friend. We'll get Dave on here too. For sure.
So when you decided to make the jump, or when you started to kind of gravitate toward YouTube, what kind of shows were you watching? Like, what kind of channels were you watching?
I mean, I was using YouTube at first as just like a way to look up how-to stuff. I know, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Reggie Collects and some of the big names like Gem Mint. You know, those guys were very helpful for me just getting into this hobby and getting an understanding of how to properly protect your books and you know how to ship things and different Mylar and all the different lingo that goes on nowadays. So that kind of stuff's been so helpful for me. And then from there, it was like people selling stuff and doing a lot of the auctions. I mean, I love doing the sales claims and stuff over on Instagram, and I loved hanging out there. So people started doing it more on YouTube, and so I was just trying to jump back and forth and being kind of everywhere that I could.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys definitely put out some helpful content, especially for new or inexperienced collectors. I had Reggie Collects on a few weeks ago, and that's what I told him. It's like, how do you, that's what he had said, that he wanted to do something nobody else was doing, at the same time help people in the community. So,
right.
Can you ask Justin to pull out the big guns and show his top slabs, please?
Whoa.
Who's Jason W? You know Jason W?
No, Jason, come on, man. We just met.
Oh, Jesus. Buy him dinner or something first, man. No peeking unless you got a buck. So your cousin was somebody from Team Nerd Herd, right?
They're I consider them all my family. They're all friends that I met through Instagram.
But you're not related to any of them?
No.
See, I thought you were. I guess they were just cousin, as in the metaphorical sense. Yeah,
we always talk family talk. Those guys they've been absolutely awesome. They launched their YouTube channel kind of around the same time that I did mine in terms of putting videos out and stuff. So, I've just been trying to always support them, and they've always been supportive of me, kind of going back and forth. So I consider them family for sure.
They've had me on. Just
well, it's getting late, guys. I gotta get going.
Look at the time. So what is the like, are you a collector? Like, did you collect anything when you were younger? Like, what's the first thing you ever collected?
So it's funny. I grabbed a couple of things because I've always been all over the place. I've always been into so many different hobbies and interests. Everything from, as I was younger, Pokemon, and I've always been into music, always collecting different things of music. I was getting into, I was into poker for a long period of time. So a lot of different things. Magic the Gathering was a big game of mine that I used to always play, collecting those cards. I took out some of these things. Anybody know what these are right here? Anybody remember these? Rob, did you ever see these?
I did. Why? I'm drawing a blank. Is there the Pogs in here?
That's a couple of Pogs in here.
Yeah.
So when you asked me what my first thing I was really collecting was, this is what came to mind, are all these little Pogs. And it was just obviously a fun game at that time. I was a little kid, didn't know what I was doing, but they were all cool, had really cool pictures on them. And if anybody, this really can bring me back for sure. If you show me just a little tube like this, you're like, oh my gosh. I couldn't believe I found those. So Pogs, that kicked it off. I did some sports stuff for a little bit, basketball cards and stuff like that, in the mid 90s. And, but I never fully got into it until Pokemon came, and I was massively involved with Pokemon, collecting, playing the game, all that stuff. The video game obviously was probably the biggest, platform for Pokemon at that time. So I was just into that for a long time. And then I slowly went through all the phases, right? I went through to Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was in middle school, and then high school, I started playing Magic the Gathering. And then I took Magic the Gathering on a very serious level. It was that and poker. I was going back and forth. And Magic the Gathering, I started to play on a level that I was trying to play almost semi-professionally.
Really?
Which kind of became a grind though after a while. Yeah, it was a good like 5 years of my life where I was like really playing that a lot. And then same thing with poker. I was into poker for a long period of time. Dude, my dream was to go to
Magic
Vegas.
the Gathering is a card game.
Yeah,
I'm not
card game
familiar with it.
from card game from the 90s, and kind of like, I mean, some would argue, well, some would say it'd be like the adult version of like Pokemon. Although they're all kids things at the end of the day, or whatever, or all adult things at the end of the day, however you look at it.
Depends how old you are when you're playing it.
Exactly. But I was always a competitive person, and I always like to try to dive into not just like the collecting aspect of it, but actually trying to like be the best at the game itself. And that's always been a thing of mine. So if anything, collecting comics has definitely switched the gears on me a little bit, because there is no competitiveness in that sense. You know, it's not about like my book is better than your book or anything like that. It's so much different than what I'm used to with things like poker and Magic the Gathering. And it's kind of nice because it's, again, you're not like battling anybody. You're all just, it's like one love. So
Jose Gonzalez says, I did a lot of Magic tournaments until they didn't allow revised and older. I have no idea what that means, and I'm sure you do.
yeah, it's revised and older cards that came out at the time. They, over the years, they tell you that you can only use certain years worth of cards.
Okay.
So I'm sure he was, a longtime collector. He probably has all these powerful cards, and they basically said, hey, you can't use these powerful cards anymore because there's newer cards out, and you're just going to crush all these kids all the time, with your older cards, and it's not fair.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I never was a gamer like that. People who still joke around about even video games. Like my last video game I played was NHL '94. Like, I just once the controller got more than 4 buttons, I was out. I was out. I'm trying to play with my son. When he first started getting like Madden and stuff, and I'm like, he's not pads. You got to hit the button on the back. And I'm like, there's buttons on the back. I'm just hitting stuff, and the guy's dropping the ball. I was like, forget this.
That's hysterical. I'm not a video game guy.
So when you started collecting comics, you already told us that was just a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, just a couple of years ago. A big part of that is my dad used to draw for Marvel and DC, and when I was growing up, I looked at that as like this family business that I didn't want anything a part of. As weird as that sounds, I guess. I just wasn't. I mean, I liked the idea of the superheroes and stuff like that, but like the actual idea of like collecting comics, reading them, he was always drawing, and that wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So I think I kind of pushed that away. Also, to be honest, I never really enjoyed reading up until my adult years. Like as a kid, I used to hate reading. So if I told my old self, that, hey, in 30 plus years, you're going to be, reading comics every day and enjoying it, I would laugh, because, back then I just hated reading anything. So I think that played a big part with just my dad being part of the business and doing what he was doing, that it took me 29 years to really discover my love or my passion for comics on my own terms. I always knew they existed, obviously. And like I said, I always liked the movies. I always liked the 90s cartoon shows and things like that. But I was on to just other things like Pokemon and Magic and, card games and stuff like that. Nice.
I'm glad you found it, right? I mean, this whole life, like I was late in life as well. It wasn't until I met Otto, 8-10 years ago. Our kids are playing football together, playing flag football together. And
nice.
I got this extra ticket to this con in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm like, what do you mean, like comic books? So he's like, yeah, just come. It'll be a good road trip. And, a year later, I'm dressed up in cosplay going to the one here in Connecticut. And
I love it.
Now I got almost 40 short boxes of comics in the living room. Then it just keeps growing and growing.
I was going to say thousands of dollars later. Yeah.
My famous saying is, my biggest fear is that when I pass away, my wife sells my comics for what I say I paid for them.
Right. Yeah. Do not want that.
All right. So when you do your YouTube channel, Instagram, as in all of us, everything we try to do is relevant with today's collecting, things you pick up recently, movies, speculation, all that stuff. So we don't always get to share cool things that we might have in our collection because we're trying to stay relevant. So do you have something that you like that you have collected or that's in your collection that you own that you're like, I would love to be able to share this. It's just not relevant right now, that you'd like to share right now?
Yeah, I mean, I grabbed a couple things. I can't say that I am still necessarily a collector of some of these things now, but I did grab.
Even if you have one, let's see.
Yeah. I just grabbed some vinyl that I was always into, trying
All right,
to.
hold on.
Sure.
I, highlight this guy, man. I'm gonna highlight you, man.
I love that. So yeah, I mean, these are obviously some classics. We got Supertramp, we got Black Sabbath. I used to work at a music store for a long time, which was very dangerous because my half my paycheck would just go right back into the store.
Yeah.
But I was into a lot of. I actually did I was part of a podcast for a long time for a heavy metal website. Me and a buddy of mine. Yeah, we were writing reviews for like unknown metal bands from European countries, and just started meeting bands and started writing about more new albums that were coming out each week. And I just went through this like big, I don't want to call it a phase, but just like a time in my life where I was having a blast, just listening to music and then writing about it, and then getting kind of like a fan base about it, and just like we had a podcast. We were, had a website. We started like collaborating with bands where we would like interview them, kind of like this. And it was really the coolest thing was that most of them were not from the United States. So these are just some like metal bands that I had listened to. So I used to buy vinyl all the time, and I went to school for audio, so I had an appreciation for like the sound of vinyl.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think a lot of us older guys do. I mean,
yeah. Here's some hip hop for you. Ooh, this is my favorite Doom album. Rest in peace, Doom. One of my favorite albums. So yeah, I just I figured I'd show some of those because I do have a lot of vinyl around. I have a lot of CDs. You guys remember CDs? Back in the day. So I used to collect a lot of that stuff. I certainly have not really anymore. I will say Spotify has pretty much been my go-to for casually listening to music nowadays.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But yeah, I mean, I like to sit down once in a while and jam out if I can.
That's a big thing over the last few years that Everett's gotten into is collecting vinyl again. He goes to a lot of the little tag sales and stuff, and he shows up with all these new. And sometimes he buys some new stuff. He buys some new hip hop stuff for me. He come every once in a while, show up with an old Wu record or something like that, and put it on. And I do gotta say it. It's just something about the nostalgia of throwing on a vinyl record and hearing that static before the music starts.
Yeah, totally. The crackling and everything. It's like, yeah, there's something about it that and if you didn't like ever experience it, you wouldn't know. I mean, kids today, I mean, they don't, I mean, unless they take the time to really listen to it, or if they're in the audio industry, they won't get that experience ever. But it's definitely different.
I was a big Kiss fan when I was younger.
Oh, nice.
I had every album they ever made on vinyl unopened with makeup. Like once they took off the makeup, the music was kind of garbage. I had the comic book that they put their blood in. I had like autographed tickets and pictures, and I bought my first house, and I made the mistake of putting all that stuff in the basement. And the sump pump failed, and my basement got 3 feet of water.
Oh my gosh!
Everything was underwater. Everything. I lost every last bit of my collection.
Oh God. Sorry to hear that, man. That is.
You always say, you ever think about going and buying it back now? I'm like, I can't afford it now. Are you kidding me? The stuff that I had, especially, even the comic book. So for everybody that's a new homeowner, big advice to you, all right? Assume that your basement's going to flood and put everything at least 5 feet off the floor or higher.
Yep. You're spot on with that, man. If this excites you, or if this makes up for it in any way, I actually worked with Kiss once.
You did?
Yeah, I used to be on a recording truck. We used to travel, and basically this big RV that had $1 million studio in the back. It was a company that I worked for. I used to go to audio school for like engineering, and that was something I wanted to do for a long time. So I had this opportunity where I got this gig. And Kiss was one of the concerts that we set up for. It was in the one of the big Jersey locations around here that had one of the big concert setups. But they were awesome, and they had like drummer was flying in the air, guitar players were like flying from strings and stuff like this. And this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I guess. But they were awesome. They were a lot of fun live.
Yeah, I mean, that's their claim to fame. That's why they're Kiss Live. Like, they didn't really become popular till that thing came out. People realized that if you wanted to see a show, I mean, I've probably seen them a dozen times. Probably, I never was able to see them the first time around with makeup, but I saw them pretty much every time after that. You know, all 15 farewell tours and the Hello tour, the anniversary tour, and all that stuff. So I got to see the original band play together and stuff, but I did see them a couple times where they didn't have makeup. And it just, you can't beat the live show. And I watched some of those old concerts, and some of the, every once in a while I pull out this box, it's got some old VHS tapes on it. I don't even have anything to play it with anymore.
Right.
I just remember the old, the guitar solos with the thing lighting on fire, and Gene with the blood and then spitting the fire.
Yeah,
it's so grand that maybe 6 or 7 years ago, Ever and I took our kids to see Kiss.
Oh, nice.
So I have a daughter who's now a freshman in college. My son and Everett's son are both sophomores. So we took the three of them to see Kiss, and Def Leppard opened up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we had seats, and our seats were towards the back. It's one of these places that there's indoor, outdoors. There's a lawn.
Yeah.
And there was a stage on the lawn, and Paul Stanley came through the crowd and went up and played on stage, and they happened to be like 5 feet from us.
Oh my God.
So like for my kids to be able to experience that, with the Gene Simmons spitting the blood and then flying up to the top of the rafters, and people who don't know.
Totally. They were really humble guys too. I was surprised to see that they came out at like 30 minutes after their show, and there was like a handful of people hanging out still, and they were like signing autographs and stuff. I thought that was really, really cool of them to do.
I like that guy. Hey, another one. Good luck later for your grand channel opening, I guess you would call it.
Hell yeah.
All right, so those are pretty cool vinyls. That was a great story. I kind of went off track with my music story. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no.
It's not something that ever came up during one of the interviews, so I kind of brought out some stories that people who watch all the time, they make fun of me because a lot of the other stuff I repeat to the people that I'm interviewing, like what I've collected, what I collect now, and I'm told I'm not allowed to talk about those things anymore, or the story how I got this 9.8 300. So, well, how about what's your favorite comic in your collection? Do you had like you got to go somewhere and they're like you can only bring one?
So I remember you asking this question before, and I actually want to do. I mean, I'm going to show a comic, but I also wanted to show a piece of artwork that actually meant a lot to me, and that would probably be the thing I would actually grab if it were. I mean, as part of it, anyways. I mean, it's easier to say now, but this is the artwork that I wanted to show. This is from my dad. He actually just drew it about a couple months ago.
Oh, that is badass, dude.
Yeah, I asked him to just put something together. Asked him for Daredevil. Daredevil was one of the first characters as I was getting into reading comics that I really explored and really liked. And then obviously like the Netflix and all that stuff. So I've always, for my time really being a fan of comic books, Daredevil has been one of my number one favorites. And
your dad drew that?
Yeah, he
all the colors and everything?
Everything, yeah.
That is amazing, dude.
He just did this last year. This is probably the thing I would grab. This, and he did another piece of artwork that actually it's coming out soon.
Claim.
Spider-Man, yeah. Spider-Man nonstop Spider-Man that's coming out. He did a cover for that recently. For
really?
So
he's not retired. He's still working.
Yeah, that was just like a one-off that they reached out to him to do, and he put that together. The book that I'll show, because I of course would like to grab this as well if possible, is this X-Men 1 that I have from Stan Lee 2.5. It's I won this in a raffle, and this is definitely my prized possession for sure.
Is this the raffle you're talking about?
I don't know if Universe X was involved in some of these raffles, because I feel like I've seen them in some. But yeah, this was a big one for me. I won it middle of last year. It was right around my birthday in June.
That's awesome.
Which was a nice little add-on to. I never thought I'd own this book, so definitely got super lucky with that stuff. That's something that
I think there's a beauty of some of these raffles on Instagram. You know, you get a hold of stuff that you probably. I mean, you had a couple of people that won AF-15s. Like, what are the chances of you ever buying one of those? You know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's like the only other way to really have a shot at it.
So if I enter a raffle and you're in it or Spidey powder tumblers, I'm not entering either one. Because it's just, you know, some people are just that lucky, man.
So do you know that I before this book, literally 5 days before I won this, I won Otto's X-Men 12 from another raffle. And I was very new to raffles. I was like, oh, let me give these a try. I'm a gambling guy. We talked about casinos.
See, Jose knows.
Yeah.
Everything he enters, he wins.
So I just, I gave it a shot, and it was cool because it was Otto's book. So I have his X-Men 12 4.5, and then literally 5 days later, I win this thing. And the best part was I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend, and I'm like, you know, I win this $500 book. I'm like, baby, hey, check this out. I won a $500 book. It's going to come in the mail. You know, I only spent like $50 or whatever to get it. And she's like, wow, that's incredible. And then like literally 5 days later goes by. I'm like, remember how I won that $500 book? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I just won a $6,000 book. And she's like, what? She's like, well, what are you talking? And from that point on, when the $500 book came in, I was like trying to show this off. She's like, oh, but where's the big book? And I'm like, well, it's coming, but this one's still really good. This is Juggernaut, you know, it's a really good book. And it just totally like was overshadowed by everything else once I showed that other book off. So
that's funny.
But yeah, definitely lucky for sure.
Do you have any weird comics that you collect? Like, it's like I collect hip hop covers and I collect ASM 300 cover swipes. Do you have any quirky or weird things that you collect when it comes to comics?
I don't know about weird. I've just been trying to get like some John Byrne runs. I feel like I went and got like Fantastic Four, John Byrne, and then lately just a lot of X-Men from him and Claremont. Nothing out of the ordinary though in terms of like specific types of covers or anything like that. I'm a big X-Men fan, so especially the Claremont stuff. So any of that stuff, I'm slowly trying to build that.
So you're actually gonna try and collect that run and not just get the omnibus and read it.
So I have the omnibus and I did read it via that, and that's actually one of the
801 says you collect raffle wins.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's me and my buddy John from John's Comics with Kids. We started a show recently called the Omni X-Men. We just got our first omnibus. I mean, I never owned one of these before. So this was a reprint that just came out middle of last year, and I wanted it just because it's Claremont's early stuff.
That goes from what to what?
This is from 94. Well, Giant Size X-Men, and then 94 to 131. Which is right in the middle of the Dark Phoenix saga. So me and John mentioned that he just got this, and we were always talking X-Men. So he's like, "Hey, you want to like do a thing where we literally break down an issue every episode." So we just started doing that, and it's been even better because of that.
Justin versus Jose in a raffle, raffle off.
That'd be great. Yeah, so that's where we do the omnibus thing, and we just talk about an issue from that omnibus, and I just got omnibus volume 2, volume 3, and we just been kind of going through. But I will say, first time I read it through was not with that omnibus; it was from digital, Marvel Unlimited. I'm a big fan of reading from digital style over physical stuff. I love collecting physical. I'm a big believer that physical is important and should be around. But when it comes for me personally, I really enjoy reading digitally.
Something wrong in the house. The man with the curly hairs. What's up, brother?
Yo.
So do you have to actively collect anything else other than comics?
Not really. I mean, it's interesting because it's not. Up until like collecting comics, I was always in other hobbies, but a lot of it had to do with like competitive level stuff. And so I never fully got into buying other things just to own it or anything like that. But I will say that, and I think maybe this is one of your questions. Maybe I'm ruining one of your questions for ahead. But I know you asked too about like something that someone looks at my page and
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, see now.
I try to give you a couple answers, a couple questions ahead of time, and then bites me in the ass.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
no, you don't actively collect anything
no.
else.
Nope, nope, nothing.
So I mean, to go back on talking about like the competitive cards and stuff. So you were into the cards. Like, what do you think about this whole, this new FOMO resurgence of card collecting? Like, people are going crazy for that stuff right now.
Yeah.
Like, do you have anything that you have from back in the day that would be worth money now just because people are going crazy?
So I do have the some of the Pokemon stuff. That was one thing I pulled out here too. I that was one of the first things that I was collecting, and I did manage to keep. I think I have it here. Yeah, I managed to keep a couple of these Charizards, and I know these are part of the Pokemon hype that's going on right now. But I know also there's a lot of hype around these Marvel things too, these Marvel cards. I don't know. I'm not. It's not for me. But if people want to collect them and they're into it, and I would just say it's probably not the best time to be buying since there's so much hype. I mean, unless you find it for cheap deals and stuff. But yeah, I mean, to each his own. To me, it's not really something of mine.
It's just strange how like overnight, like all this stuff from back in the 90s is exploding, and I don't, and the card thing is kind of helping push along the comic thing, and those that same era, those books are starting to go crazy as well.
Well, let me ask you this, Raj. What happens if you see these silly eBay listings where people put up a random book and they'll obnoxiously put it up for like $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time it's just a waste of time and waste of whatever, and then nothing ever happens. What if like somebody who some millionaire just wants to mess with people, and goes and buys like one of these cards for $1 million that some other person put up as a joke for $1 million, and he just went and did it? Could that be a potential thing that could hype up? I mean, all people that are speculating and stuff be like, whoa, this card just went for $1 million. I mean, I have that. Like, would you think that'd get more people to?
I mean, I guess it could, because then they would be like, well, if that's what people want, I don't necessarily think it would be more than a day or two spike, because all of a sudden you'll have 100 people list that same card at the same price. That ain't going to sell. I think it's more of, I have a $2 card. People are going nuts. I'm listing it for 50. So 1,000 people are listing it for 50, and people are buying it. So they went from 50 to 60 to 70.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the same thing right now on eBay with a book that I'm trying to sell. Like the one last sold, I bumped it up, and like the ones that are the same book as mine are all going for $1,000 more. So every day someone doesn't buy it, I keep bumping it up. You don't want to buy it at this price, you're only going to pay more. So right. I don't know if I don't think one sale would do that. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem is you have people with money who have that FOMO, and they're like, well, I'll spend 50, I'll spend 70. And as they get more and more, well, I don't want to miss out. And, kind of a little at a time, it creeps up. Right. I mean, if someone bought one card for $1 million, I think the whole world would laugh at them. Right. But if all of a sudden you sell 2 or 3 for $1,000, then yeah, I think it would. All of a sudden you'd have multiple people buying that. Almost like, well, what do they know that I don't?
Sure. Yeah, the curiosity. Yeah, I try to stay away from the FOMO if I can.
Yeah, I agree, and I think most people who are into collecting, especially at comics like we are, there's not a lot of FOMO, because we know that's what it is. Right. It's like, if you watch the speculators and you're buying that stuff. If you've already seen a character, it's too late to buy it.
Yeah,
we know that. Yeah. So if you're lucky enough to buy a book, because you think something's coming, or you just happen to like the book, and then it blows up, I had 3 copies of the first appearance of Monica Rambeau. I mean, I probably gave away 4 last year just as throw-ins to our auctions, not knowing them. Luckily, I held on to 2,
Yeah.
You never know, but, once that thing got to $300 or $400 book, I'm not buying it at that point. It's too late now.
Yeah, definitely too late.
Like the Aegis Heart, like as soon as that show played, it's too late to buy the comic.
Big time. Yeah.
If you didn't speculate before, or if you didn't buy it ahead of time just to have in your collection, and you're buying it, then shame on you. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely not the time if you see it on these big shows or listings and things like that.
Yeah, FOMO is it is. I mean, I guess as a collector, or I would say every form of collecting has FOMO. Not every collector has FOMO, but I think that sure, whether it's gold or silver or comics or cards or vintage cars, I guess. I mean, it gets to a point where someone's interested, more people get interested, and prices start to go up, and people are like, "Well, I want to get in before it's too late," and
right.
nobody knows why it's expensive anymore. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is, I try to, recognize, is this something that I like, and is this something that if I do get stuck with, am I going to be okay with it? And if I say no to that, then that kind of guides me into, well, maybe it's not something for me, for me to buy.
Right. That's pretty funny, buddy. You're a funny guy. I had FOMO getting here late. Yeah, like people will say, like, "Oh, am I stupid for buying it?" Listen, if you want something for your collection and you're buying it just to have it, then who cares what you pay for it?
Right.
But if you're buying a hot book now because you think you're going to make money off, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yep. Yeah, not the move.
All right, so you have social media. By the way, I don't think I mentioned earlier. Anybody watching this now or on the rewind, in the description of this video, you'll find a link to Justin's Instagram and YouTube channels. So make sure you go to his YouTube, sub him up, hit that notification bell, go to his Instagram, follow him, even though he's got 3 times as many followers as me. Maybe I should tell all of you to go follow me at Roger Levesque, man. It's spelled the same way, man. I had like 1,200 subscribers for like 10 years. It's pathetic. But his links are in the description, so it's easy to find. So you go to Instagram, you go to your YouTube. Someone who's new to your social media, what's something about you that they wouldn't know just by looking at your social media feeds?
I'm really big into sports, and I'm really big into daily fantasy, like lineups and things like that. I do a lot of research. I'm in other communities with other, YouTubers and things like that from a sport, a sports standpoint. I love football. I really enjoy baseball, which I used to never, and my girlfriend got me into baseball, 3-4 years ago now.
Just like watching baseball or actually betting on it?
Watching. Love watching baseball. I mean, I'll bet on it now too, but yeah, Jason. It's And then I mean, I've talked to a couple people in the community about it a little bit, but I like to do. I was doing lineups for football all through the football season. I do pretty well with it, and something that I kind of use as a way to help fund the comic book hobby.
Really? Nice. You're that much into it, huh?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's time consuming.
It's legal in Jersey.
Yeah. It depends where you're at. You can't do it in Connecticut?
No.
No,
I can do, like, me and my son will do like DraftKings. We could do like a fantasy, but I can't.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so you don't.
Yeah.
It's both. Michael Benson wants everybody to know that if you haven't seen Justin's interview with Otto from a few weeks ago, definitely go check it out on his page. So Otto was on your show.
That he was.
He was. Okay.
Are you? Thanks, Michael, for pointing that out. It was good. It was a great show. It was a great show.
Aero Maestro, good. I'm glad. Hey, who cares? Better late than never, man. And that's 4 Aero Maestro 11. That's I got finally getting those Roman numerals down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah. So, fantasy everything.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I do some like straight sports betting, but not as much as actual. I do more fantasy stuff. So building lineups. I've been doing golf this past. Thanks to the pandemic, I've been back when the pandemic first hit and there were no sports, and then golf was the first thing back. I was like, let me check out some golf, and then I just started crushing it in golf. And I'm like, oh, golf is great. I just started watching golf all the time, building lineups and stuff.
You play golf? No.
So I started going to the range. My dad plays. My girlfriend's dad plays. They've always wanted me to get into it, but I just started going to the range last year, and I've been having a lot of fun doing that. But I do plan on going once things open up this year. Hopefully, get out into a course.
So you make big money betting golf to me? I wouldn't even know how to bet golf. For
Well,
crying out loud.
it's funny because I don't know. I didn't know,
You
and
just
then maybe
pick
this
golfers. Is that it? I mean,
yeah, you pick a lineup of just 6 golfers, and they get points based on how good they do throughout the weekend or whatever. And I think what works for me is the fact that I'm not fully into golf. Like I don't know golf the way I know football, right?
Yeah.
The knowledge of that or whatever. So I do research, but I'm basing a lot of stuff off of numbers more so than my gut or something like that. And it seems to kind of work out a little more. Dave, yeah, I did this.
Worst sport ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. It's one of those sports where you could absolutely hate it and just can't wait to get off, and then you hit one shot and you're like, oh, all right, I can't wait till tomorrow.
Seriously, and it's funny because I used to make fun of people to be like, oh, how can anybody watch golf? It's seems like such a boring sport, or even baseball. I used to bash on baseball. I used to not be a fan of baseball. My girlfriend is a diehard Yankee fan and knows way more than me than I'll ever know about baseball. And she got me into it. We started going to games like 3 years ago, and now I'm a diehard Yankee fan.
All right, go Yanks.
So yeah, it's
crazy. You were going to say Mets.
No. Although
says it should be Fantasy Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm sure someone tried.
Isn't Dungeons and Dragons fantasy?
Yeah. Technically, yeah. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Mets. I always say I don't I like watching the Mets, but more because you never know what's going to happen in those games.
Yeah.
Half the time they're crushing it, and then half the time they're losing by 1, or they give up a big lead or something crazy happens. So they're always entertaining.
That's a good explanation there, David SMC. I'm not going to read it out loud. You see it?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so we're going to see you one day on TV, like the fantasy sports championships, right?
Maybe, man. I don't know.
What do you do the best at?
Pride football.
Football?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so much more. During the football season, I usually take Sundays off from comics altogether. Like you won't really see me on my social media accounts. A lot of my shows that I try to base things around, I try to base it not around Monday nights or Thursday nights because there's those football on those nights. So I try not to do much show wise on those nights. But yeah, no, I'm just a big fan. I also just love watching the game. I love the game. Always love the game. I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan. So
Ravens, huh?
It's been some decent years.
Well, we're just happy to have sports back, right? I mean, the tournament coming up.
Big time. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait. Let's get out of Michigan's way, ladies and gentlemen. You're here. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't give a crap about Gonzaga. They haven't played anybody. Michigan is the team to beat this year in the tournament.
I will definitely be watching that. And then
I've been like, my son is a huge Michigan fan just by force, like as he's growing up, you're going to root for the Yankees and the Giants in Michigan. And he's even worse than I am. You don't think he owns a piece of clothing that doesn't have the Michigan logo on it. And so I bought him a few months ago this Maze Out pass. Like I literally bought him a ticket to a fake game or a fake ticket to a game against Michigan State. But it came with a T-shirt and it came with you get access to an interview with the coaches. He can ask a question ahead of time and it'll ask the coach the question.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So of course they got COVID and Michigan shut down for 2 weeks. So they rescheduled it for this week. So not like he's already nervous about it. He's like, what should I ask him? I'm like, I don't know. You're the one who follows the team like crazy, but we've got into when the tournament starts, we'll go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch Michigan play, and it's become this thing. And the last couple of years, they've done very well to the point where last year or 2 years ago, they were in the championship and lost to Villanova. He was just so defeated. And I'm like, man, if they don't win it this year, he may just burn all this shit.
Just throw in the towel.
Yeah. All right. It is time for rapid fire with the Kranky Canadian. So this is the part where I have 15 questions. I ask you, and the idea is to answer first thing that pops into your mind. But there's going to be some answers that you'll want to elaborate, which is fine, or you might catch you off guard. So, first thing that pops in your mind, or closest thing. All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Starbucks.
Mexican or Chinese food?
Chinese food.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Spider-Man or Venom?
Spider-Man.
Would you rather hang out at the beach or poolside?
Oh, the beach.
You morning or a night person?
So I used to be a morning person, but then Spine Ticks came along, and Team Nerd Herd came along, and all these West Coast guys came along, and I started to become a night person. So my sleep has been so opposite as of late that I'll have to say I'm a night person.
Dog or cat?
I used to love cats. I used to have cats, but I'm a big dog person now, thanks to my girlfriend. She has 2 dogs, and they're basically my own. Definitely love dogs now.
They're more useful anyways. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, real or fake?
So I'm going to say these 3 names, and you let me know if you know what I'm talking about. And I just think of this because you say 3 people specifically, and I'm just thinking of like someone cool to really talk to. Mike, Don, and Peter. Michael, Don, and Peter.
You mean the... Sounds like somebody from music.
Michael K. Yankees.
Oh, Michael. Oh, Don McGregor. And, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I wasn't I like that comes to mind when you say like, you know, especially 3. I was just watching them before. I think it'd be really cool to see, and you're wearing a Yankee hat, so I thought I'd throw it away.
I went to a game a few years ago. It was a distributor of mine gave me tickets, so we got the, you know, like in that bar right underneath the where they do all the TV and stuff. You know, you get to walk out on the patio. You get seats, but you could sit on the patio or stand.
Yeah.
So we were up there and we were watching Paul O'Neill and Michael Kay do their pregame stuff. Then they kind of went off, and Michael K saw me, like I was trying to point the phone. So he's like waving to me. I'm like, hey, so you want a beer? He goes, if you can reach me, I'll take it. And then he's like, no, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Because I'm like looking for a vendor with a can that I can throw to him.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
All right. When you were 10 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man. God, I don't know. That's really tough. We'll have to come back to that. I don't know. I'm like at a loss for words.
You don't know what you wanted to be when you were a kid?
I can't even think of. You know what it is? I think of. I actually think of my mom. I wanted to be like her in the way she handled life. That's kind of the thing that keeps going to my head. But when you ask that question, I think of like a career. You know,
career. Yeah. Like, what did you want to do for a living when you?
Yeah.
When you were 10.
God. Can't even. I really can't even think. For whatever reason, like a fireman or something comes to mind. I'm like, no, I didn't want to be a fireman. What was something that I wanted to do or be? I guess maybe acting, maybe like getting involved with that. Oh no, what am I thinking? Music. I always want to get into music. I'd have to say music.
You want
like
to be a musician.
I want to be a writer, musician. That's probably the easy. Yeah, that's probably the definite answer I should go with there.
There's always one question that throws one of my guests off. Like,
dude, I just started thinking of like your typical like I want to be a policeman when I grow up. Like,
no, I wanted to be a hockey player. But...
Nice.
If you could be any animal, which would it be?
A shark.
Really?
I think it'd be cool.
Do.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to make a movie about you, who would you want to play you in that movie?
Tiger Woods.
Wow.
Wait, let me just clarify that real quick. So I used to, because
he's a big actor, you know, like
no. So a lot of my old friends used to call me Tiger because I went into this pub this one time. It was when I first turned 21, and they told me about these 2 musicians that were playing at a pub where they basically kind of heckle people as they come in. They change lyrics to songs like Sweet Caroline, but they add like inappropriate words to it and things like that. And they're just these 2 fun. They're from Ireland. They're 2 Irish guys, strong accents. And they were like, if they make fun of you or anything, just go with it because that's what they do. It's it's small bar. So I went in and they were mid-song, and I think I even had like a red polo on and a hat or something. And they stopped mid-sentence and said, "Holy Tiger Woods just walked in, and everybody just lit up laughing, and I just like went with him, like, yeah, no, I just got off the course, like, and just went with it. And then that point on, everybody called me Tiger, and then to the point where Halloween I've dressed up as Tiger like several times, and I think I nail it. So I just think of someone that looks like me. I think Tiger Woods could play me. I think that would be
right. That's a good reason behind it. It was the first thing that popped into your head, right?
Yeah.
What would you eat for your last meal?
So I know you've had some other people on here and asking questions like this, and I've had people ask me, but I have to go pizza because I love pizza. I genuinely love pizza, and it could just be pepperoni. It doesn't even have to be anything crazy. Just such a fan of it.
What style?
Just regular. I mean,
It's like New York style.
Yeah. Pepperoni, maybe a little crispy.
Thin crust, but cooked crispy on.
Yeah, a little crunch. Yeah.
New Haven style pizza, baby.
I love it.
That's what we call it around here, New Haven style.
Oh, yeah.
Or modern. Or, we invented pizza in New Haven, Connecticut. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know
Google it. You'll see.
Nice.
If you could win an Olympic medal in any sport, real or fake, what would it be?
Ooh. A real or fake sport? I mean, could we throw poker in there? Because I would love to be a medalist, a gold medalist.
I think that's what they mean by like fake, like one that's not. I don't think they mean like make up a sport, like a sport that's a sport. What I mean is a sport that it may not be part of the Olympics right now. So yeah, poker's one of them. Sure, that'd be a great one. I don't even know why it's not in there. I mean, people would watch that before some of this other crap.
It used to be on ESPN. That counts as a sport then, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, last one. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would probably say telekinesis. I know that can be dangerous, but like I just think of Professor X, the idea of kind of the stuff that he could do, and I don't know, reading minds. I know it's a dangerous thing, but I think it'd be dope.
Dave's all in on the sex. 1, 6, 2, 6. Michael Banks and Sally's Pizza in New Haven, modern pizza. I mean, Pepe's is kind of like the commercialized version of New Haven pizza, and they're up all over the place. But when I used to work in New Haven a lot, we used to go to Modern and Sally's. That was definitely, and that's what New Haven was. Hawaii. Come on, man. Don't. Yeah. If you're putting ham and pineapple on pizza, you can't have that in Connecticut. You walk into Sally's and ask for pineapple and ham on your pizza, and they'll kick your ass out.
Yeah, I can't do that.
All right, man. We've been going for an hour here. I'm all out of stuff I wanted to talk about. Anything you want to bring up or you want to talk about? Is it the chat, guys? If you have any questions for Justin or myself, type it in now. Because it's either that or we're going to sign off and get ready to watch I Dream of August comics coming up at 8:30 with their big channel launching. If you guys ain't part of it, Dave, if you're still in the chat, can you do me a favor and drop the link to I Dream of August in the chat so people have a way to link over there so they can go there from here and be part of that cool kickoff. Like I said in the description of this video, guys, Justin No Good Comics link to his Instagram and YouTube channel are both there. So make sure you click on those links and sub them up, follow him. Not that he needs more followers, but and you know what, guys? And I think that No Good's also one of these channels like we are. Like every once in a while, like you'll just do a random live show. So hit that notification bell because if you don't, then you're not going to be notified when we go live. I've had people go, I didn't even know you guys are on. Well, if the notification bell is on, you'll get notified when we go live. So if we end up having a guest that can only do a Tuesday or a Wednesday and we go live, and if you're here tonight just for Justin and could care less about 3 Men in the Basement, hey, make sure you sub up to us too, man.
Hell yeah.
Sub up to our channel, hit that notification bell. Everybody in this community does great stuff, and then also in the description of this video and every video are all the links to the friends of the channel, the Defects, Eric Gary, NY Warriors, Joker, Erod 212, Rocket Comics, our sponsor. Aegis Comics of Alaska, Keep It Thoro, Spine Ticks, and Lords of the Long Box, all friends of the channel, and all their descriptions will be links will be in the description. So check out those channels, sub them up. 3 Men in the Basement, we have our 2,500 subscriber giveaway. I believe we're like 100 away, if not less. So go watch the video. Leave a comment in the description of that video. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what something you'd like us to do that we don't already. But more important, make sure you write in hashtag 3MIB. And the next time we do, once we hit 2,500 subscribers, we're going to do a live video, and we got a ton of stuff to give away. Comics, Tunes, and Toys gave us a slab and a mystery box. Short Box gave us $100 credit towards any book on their app, excluding shipping. So, I mean, they have a bunch of books on there. If you go on Shortbox, actually, you will see 3 Men in the Basement. Our YouTube channel is embedded in their app now, so you can be flipping through, and there'll be a link to watch one of our latest videos or something. Something we've been working on with them for a while now. Just sub us up, and we got a lot of good stuff coming up. Friday we'll be live with one of our regular shows. Following Friday will be 3 Men in the Basement auction. Friday night, we'll start at 8, and you know how those go. It'll probably be 1, 2 in the morning by the time we're done. A lot of fire to bring to the auction since we haven't had one in a long time. So that's what we got going on. Justin, this is the part of the show where I say, tell people about you. Tell them what you got coming up. If you've got something to sell, now's the time to do it, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Well, first and foremost, Roger, thanks so much for having me on, man. I really enjoyed this and enjoy your show in general. So, with that being said, I'm starting a new show tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern time, with my buddy Morbius Comics. He was in the chat here earlier. And we just started a new show called Comic Relief. And it's really where we talk about hotter topics in the community. This week, we're going to be talking about how we define first appearances, or the differences between cameos and first full appearances. So we're gonna kind of give our opinions on that and kind of look at it from all angles. And so that's at 7:30, and then also tomorrow night at 9 o'clock over on John's Comics with Kids, we're doing Omni X-Men. We're breaking down issue 116 of Claremont's issues. So if you guys are X-Men fans, you want to check that out. It's a lot of fun. Then I do a tag team Thursday every Thursday. Me and a couple of the guys, including Rod Justarican and his comics. Everybody does like a little 15-minute video, and then everybody in the chat jumps over to the next person's YouTube channel. So it's a lot of fun. It's Rod, John's Comics with Kids, Old Wolf 65, and Comic Chop News, and then I close it out. They call me the closer. So I've been repping Mo from the Yankees as I close out with my 15-minute show. So it's a lot of fun. It's every Thursday, and we just show off, the new books that we had and some other things that we're reading right now currently. And then just Saturdays is Comic Collector Origins. As we talked a little bit about it here, it's very similar to the show. Talks a little bit about the, I invite community members on, like Roger. One day will be a member of that. When he'll be on at one time. And we just, I know someone mentioned Otto, just asking people about their origin story, how they got into collecting and reading and all that other fun stuff. So that's at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and I have Mama Comics, Lucy, as my guest this Saturday. So looking forward to that.
You're kidding me.
Wait, what?
You're kidding me.
Other than that, guys, it's getting late, so
you're kidding me. First time I do this, who that just showed up, better late than never, and he missed this clip. Highlight this guy, man. And want to announce my guest for next Monday.
Oh,
Mama Comics.
I love it.
I bet you need to back off, man.
I'm gonna take all your questions and just ask her, and then boom.
I'm gonna be watching. I'll find a way to boot you off the internet.
There you go.
I'll put a complaint with YouTube.
Start trolling me in the
I'll
chat.
start swearing in the chat, and I'll tell YouTube that you got inappropriate.
That's so funny though. That's cool. It's a small world.
Good. I mean,
she's great.
Yeah, definitely. I just recently am new to being friends with her on Instagram, and I know that she's been on a bunch of the Tales from the Flip Side shows, and she's got a lot of cool stuff, and I'm looking forward to interview her. So yeah, you take any of my questions and I'll kill you, especially since I know you're close by.
You guys heard it here. If I go missing, you know why.
I might know a guy.
Yeah. Well, dude, Roger, again, thank you, man. I really do appreciate you having me on here, and it's been a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll collab some more at some point. Yeah,
absolutely. I appreciate you being on here. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody in the chat that's been hanging out. Still 45 people watching. Nice. These shows, although they're a lot of fun, are mean even more when people are in the chat watching and being part of the conversation. And a lot of people have reached out and tell me that they enjoy this segment and enjoy this show, and it means a lot to me when I hear from you guys and that type of thing. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you, Justin, for coming on. So with that being said, on behalf of 3 Men in the Basement, Dave in the Cave, Everett Otto, I am Roger Levesque, aka the Kranky Canadian, and most valuable thing you can give to me is your time. So thank you for a little of your time. Peace out, everybody. Good night. Good night, Canada.